Louisiana Beer Reviews looks at Puck the Beer. Puck the Beer is a petite Saison, 4% alcohol, 27 international bitterness units. It was introduced in 2013 under a different name, Merle. They use Pilsner, barley malt, and wheat malt. They don't talk about the hops that I could see on the North Coast website. Gets a good score on Beer Advocate, so they're saying a B, good. 82 out of 100 on Rate Beer, but only 58 out of 100 for the style. There's one video review that I found, and she liked it. Brewed and bottled. So there's a picture of some old Midsummer Night's Dream type thing going on here, and they said Puck was like a woodland spirit of the Middle Ages, sort of like in some ways, a bit of a poltergeist type spirit. All right. I believe Puck was a famous British newspaper. Also, I bought this out there in Metairie, Louisiana, at March and Wine Cellar, and it was not expensive, if I recall. Now, I'm going to show you a book. Some smoke. I had stopped showing books because I sort of ran out of books to show. You know, about once a week I would show an old book that I owned. But I've got some new ones. Now look at that thick, I guess white. Those are some big bubbles, and those are some racing, fiery bubbles. In this beer, it's lemon yellow, I guess, depending on which way you look at it. Golden yellow that way. Well, some fiery bubble action here, which is not that unusual for the Saisons. They said they use the same yeast as they do for another one of their beers, a bigger Saison. It's the Craft Beer Revolution. It was written in 2004, updated in 2015 by Steve Hindy, author of Beer School, and he was one of the co-founders of Brooklyn Brewing. And it's interesting. It's kind of a standard, in a lot of ways, history of not the brand so much. They don't get into the styles and the tastes, but of the business end of the craft beer movement. And they go back to the original sort of a thing with Anchor and Fritz Maytag, and how he came from a very wealthy family with the Maytag washing machine company, and he went in there and rescued that really dead brewery. It had gone out of business in 1971. He rolled out the Anchor Steam, the reformatted Anchor Steam, which was made according to craft beer guidelines, which he was interested in. And then of course they added Liberty Ale in 1975, first American IPA. And it just kept going on and on about the history. And there's sort of like an underlying history also, like a thread also, a sub-context, a sub-story about how, well, he's saying how, you have to read it, I'm not going to give you the whole book, but he's talking about how there was a lot of camaraderie in the early days, and even good relations and camaraderie with the major brewers. And there wasn't this antagonistic us versus them type thing. And he actually details how major brewers like Coors helped small companies like Boulder Beer Company 1979 get started. Actually helped them get started, and how like Anheuser-Busch helped some of the craft brewers by showing them, saying, look, do it this way. Here's how you can do it better. So his attitude was, it wasn't this big conspiracy to wipe us out. And then he said this, the sub story is how this other individual came along in 1985 who had a different approach on selling craft beer, and he was like sort of like using like a kamikaze approach and very bombastic, and immediately started attacking major brewers, which was never done before apparently. And the big brewers were saying, "What is all of this, guys? Who is the, y'all want a war? You really want this war?" And then the other brewers were saying, "Look, he doesn't represent us. We cannot answer for him." And then that started creating this, and now it's in place today, this antagonistic situation. And then he said it kind of like created antagonism between the craft brewers. So he's not very favorable toward that new approach, that nihilist approach, I guess you call it. Anyway, I recommend it. My daughter gave that to me for Father's Day, and so it's really fantastic. This beer has the traditional farmhouse ale, Saison smell, the Brettanomyces. Some people call it horse blanket. Little lemoniness, a little sugariness, a little spiciness. It's very mild. Like they're talking about, it's a nice little beer to have. Okay, it's about 6:30 in the evening, daylight time, so it's a nice little evening beer, I have to say. At least from the aroma. The flavor, same thing. Brettanomyces, some grain husk, some little citrus, lemon, moderate, low to moderate bitterness. The bitterness is there. That's white bread, maybe a little sourdough bread, a medium mouthfeel, and a pretty crisp, puckering, even champagne-like finish, sort of like if you drank a mimosa, but not so heavy on the orange juice. But it's got it's very carbonated, a mimosa-like aspect to it. So is this the best Saison you can get your hands on? No, it is not. But then I think if you read their website, it wasn't created to be. You say, "Oh no, don't tell me it's a session Saison." It's sort of like that, yeah. Like a session IPA. It has some of those characteristics, like a little water. The mouthfeel's there, though. Yeah, a little dull, a little, a lot of them just sort of lack character, and they're not better than, it's like, why would you pay twice as much to get something that really has no more character than a Rolling Rock or a Coors Banquet or a Miller Genuine Draft. And that's true. So those are also, in my opinion, good beers. Not extraordinary, but good, serviceable. And this is the same thing. Different style, but not anything too, yippee-yi-yay. So I say it's a B. It's good. I would buy it and try it, but I don't think it would go down as some great memorable product. So I think that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Laissez-les bon temps rouler. And y'all come on down to New Orleans.